Hey team, and welcome back to Toe the Line. I have a very exciting guest here today, and I'm sure you guys are going to love hearing from her and about her story. I'm going to give her a quick intro and then we'll get straight into it. So today's guest debuted for the Black Ferns in 2021, and since then has lit up the international stage with her speed and agility. She's originally from Gisborne and played for both the Hawke's Bay Tui and the Bay of Plenty Volcanics before making her way to the Waikato in 2019, where she became Waikato Player of the Year for her work at Fullback. In 2020, she shifted to playing halfback. Sorry, let's rewind. She did her work at halfback. I got confused there. In 2020, she shifted to playing fullback, and well, just like the old saying goes, the rest is history.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to have Renee Holmes on the podcast today. Renee, welcome to Toe the Line.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on. I think when I think of players that I guess intrigue me the most, you're definitely at the top of my list. I don't know why. I think there's just something about you that is very intriguing to me, and you've played like multiple different sports, which I always find so interesting, and you're just played at such a high level since you came onto the scene, so it's very exciting to have you here today.
Yeah, no, I've definitely have played a few different sports, but I've definitely found my home with rugby.
I was going to say, when I was researching you, saw that you did Taekwondo, I was like, girl's going to show me some moves, because I need to learn like self-defense or something. Also, I'm so uncoordinated, so like you'll have to take it, like be patient. Just be patient with me, okay? But first question to kick off the podcast is, how are you?
I am great.
Yeah.
Obviously we're in camp at the moment with WXV, and we're heading into our last game against England, so it's kind of giving flashbacks to, I guess, that Rugby World Cup final last year here, and we're in Aotearoa in Auckland again, so yeah, it's definitely giving flashbacks there, and I'm just happy to be back. I've been out for a few months with a pretty big injury. I've never really suffered any injuries before, so being able to return for this campaign, the hopes weren't very high, but we did it. The body's an amazing thing, and I've got an amazing team, so I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, wow. So how long were you out with injury?
3 months. Yeah, and
that's tough.
Yeah, like I guess there's a lot of people out there that have suffered a lot bigger and longer injuries, but this one could have definitely gone one way or the other, and the team that I have around me have managed to be able to get me back on the field, so lucky.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also, like, for it being a first kind of sort of injury, it's kind of scary as well, because you don't know what's going to happen. And I think also with injuries, they're so you can predict them to a degree, but then you never know. Just everyone's different, and you just never know. So it's good that you're able to get back out so quickly.
I know, definitely. We had a timeline, and then the timeline wasn't looking that great, and then just woke up one morning and my range was where it needed to be, and was a week out from playing a game, so it was pretty crazy. Yeah.
Thank the lucky stars.
Yeah.
So I want to get into kind of knowing who Renee is off the field first. Talk us through, I guess, your childhood, siblings, family life. Who were like the influential people as you were growing up?
Yeah, I guess the one thing at the moment that probably kind of encompasses who I am off the field is I'm an auntie to 10.
Yeah.
10? Yes,
wow.
10. And they're like all under the age of 12.
Oh, love that.
So, yeah, I think growing up, I've got 4 older sisters and a younger brother, and all my older sisters are mums, so, yeah, I think family for me is a big thing. Yeah. We don't have, my mum was adopted, and Dad, we're not too connected with his family, so we kind of only had each other. Yeah. And so to see my sisters kind of grow our village and like our tribe, it's been really cool. Yeah. And we're, kind of the start of, I guess, our generation for us, like not knowing too much about our grandparents and whatnot. So I'm very connected with my sisters and my little brother and my parents. So cool. Yeah, they've definitely been my rocks throughout my life. And as a lot of people know, it was me, my dad and my brother for a while. After I was about 12 years old when my parents split, and we stayed on with Dad, and he's kind of been that guy with me every step of the way until the last couple of years where Mum's come back into our lives and living at home with me now. So it's pretty cool to reconnect and build that relationship with my mum again.
And how's that been, rebuilding the connection with you? Did you have like a relationship with her when she left? Or
Yeah. Well, obviously growing up, like I was tight as with mum, and then it was hard when she left.
Yeah. Especially at such like a young and like pivotal age.
Yeah,
as well.
I definitely feel like I had to grow up a lot quicker than others. Like having, I guess, to be kind of like a mother figure for my little brother because he's 8 years younger than me. Yeah. So he was about 4 or 5. So I definitely feel like I had to grow up a bit faster. But the last 2 years, rekindling that like connection with my mum and everything has been incredible. Like I'm so grateful that I've been able to build that relationship with her. And every day it's just getting stronger and stronger, and I just love her so much.
Yeah,
I know that sometimes it's tough for her because she missed out on a big portion of our lives, but I know that she's really happy to be with us now.
When you look up into the stand and she's like sitting there and your dad's there, are you like so happy?
Yeah,
like, oh
it's honestly the best feeling. Like, especially because like mum doesn't know too much about sports, but now she is the biggest critic, commentator. I turn up home and she's like, "Did you watch the girls' game?" Like she watches games that I'm not even playing in. Like she is actually into it so much, and it's just so crazy.
So cool.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and then obviously with my dad, he's being out. He follows me everywhere, so. It's not, rugby isn't just rewarding for me, it's rewarding for him too. Like I've seen him connect with so many schoolmates, family members. He's never travelled so much in his life. Yeah. Like it's actually really cool seeing him.
It's like a full-time career.
Yeah. Like he's gaining a lot from just his daughter playing rugby. Like it's so cool.
You know, you saying that reminded me. My first guest on the podcast was Ian Jones actually, and he was saying when he debuted for the All Blacks, it wasn't just like a debut for him; it was like a debut for his family, and like you weren't just an All Black; your family was an All Black and everything. So it's funny you say that because I feel like it's like a recurring theme. Yeah. And like the Black Ferns and All Blacks camps. So.
Yeah, definitely, and especially coming from Gisborne. Pretty small community, so when I pulled on that jersey for the first time, it wasn't just for me and my immediate family, it was actually for my community back home too, because we don't have too many that I guess break through out of Gisborne. So I guess following the likes of Charmaine McMiniman, she came out of Gisborne, being able to look up to her and know that you can do it was pretty cool feeling.
And how do you feel, this isn't a question, I've just kind of come up with it, but how do you feel knowing that you're probably going to be that person for other people in Gisborne? Because I know that would make me feel a type of way.
I definitely know I've dreamt of wanting to be that person for other little kids, and not even just little kids, anybody. I guess you can pick up a sport or do anything with your life at any age, and that's probably the main thing. Like you don't have to be 19, 18 out of school breakthrough. Like you can make it at whatever age you 100%. Want. So I think being that I guess role model figure for others back home has been like really important, and so I guess why I play and the reason why I keep playing and want to achieve and reach for the stars.
100%. That's so cool. I guess we'll get into a bit of the rugby journey now. At what age, and I guess around what age was your like first introduction to rugby? When was your first interaction with a rugby ball, rugby field, all that sort of stuff? Do you remember like your first games, club games, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I actually do, because honestly it doesn't feel like that long ago. Yeah, it honestly just felt like yesterday. So I was around 16, 17, just come over from football. And I think it was the year of actually the 2016 Olympics. There was one of my friends asked me if I wanted to go down to a sevens training for our high school, and I was kind of like, the thought of like tackling, I was kind of like, I don't know, like, and then she was like, just a group of us, like, it'll be so much fun, just come down. And then honestly, I picked up a ball, made my first tackle, passed my first ball, and I haven't looked back since.
God. See, I could never be tackled. I'm such a pussy.
Honestly, you just got to get past the first being tackled and tackling your first one.
My dad has tried to tackle me like in our backyard before. I'm like, stay away from me.
So honestly, it was that moment. With a couple of my best mates at high school. And then
I loved that.
It was the year of the Olympics. Got to see women's rugby on the world stage. Our wahine tour was so amazing at the Olympics, and it made me be like, man, there is a journey, like a career, a pathway in the women's game of rugby. So I was really drawn to it after watching the Olympics. So
would you say you were more interested in sevens or 15s?
Yeah, definitely sevens. I was definitely exposed to sevens first. It's quite crazy though, looking back at it, I've always loved 15s. Like we lived in Christchurch for a couple of years. That's when my brother was born, and every weekend would go to watch Crusaders game. Every weekend I'd have Dan Carter and Richard McCaw drawn on my face. Like, I never knew it back then, but like now, it's always been in the blood. It's always been in the blood. Yeah, always went to rugby games. Always woke up early mornings or the hours to watch rugby with Dad. Like, yeah. So I think it's always been embedded in me. But I fully got to express it when I turned about 16, 17.
That's so cool. At what age did you start taking rugby more seriously? You said you kind of got into sevens first and were exposed to sevens. When did you kind of think, I'm gonna give this a good shot?
Yeah, I think I was a year 12 when I first started playing sevens, and then I was heading into my last year of high school, and Dad just asked me. He just said, "Bub, do you want to give rugby a good crack?" And I was kind of like, oh yeah, like, but how? How do we do it? There's not a lot here in Gisborne, and I didn't want to move away from home again. And then he was like, if you want to do it, we can do it. So every week he was driving me down to Hastings. I played for HRS in the rugby competition down there and for 15s. That was my first exposure to 15s. And then, a few months later, got selected for the Hawke's Bay Tui. Wow. So then I was introduced to the Farah Palmer Cup, and I just loved it. At that time, I guess I couldn't really pick between the two. I just loved rugby. Like, to me, it was rugby. And then the next year, I actually ended up doing 4 months in Japan for sevens. Yeah. And that was a good taste of what a professional athlete looks 100%. Like and what it's going to be like. And I got to taste that at the age of 19. Yeah. So I guess that was kind of that turning point for me. I knew that's what I wanted to do for the rest of however long I could. So playing sevens over in Japan for 4 months gave me the greatest idea of how far I wanted to go and represent and be in the black jersey. So then I came back. I was still on the path of sevens. Yeah. COVID happened. Sevens just didn't pull. Like, it was really hard to play sevens in that COVID time, and the only option to play was 15. So I just jumped back on the 15s field in Waikato, and a few months later I was contracted Black Fern. It was crazy. It went really fast. It was so fast. Yeah. Didn't expect it at all. I had dreams and hopes of playing at, like, not the World Cup just gone, but this one, 2025. That was like the dream was, cool, get ready for 2025, and then 2021 happened.
That's so crazy. I got goosebumps 3 times. The first time was when you said your dad asked you, like, do you really want to give it a go? Yeah. The second time was when you said you were, like, sort of just, like, on the fence about starting at, like, around 17, 18, and then the next year you were, like, a fully fledged, like, professional player. Yeah. And then the third time was when you said you had your sights set on the 2025 World Cup, and you've just played last year at the World Cup. I think from what you've shared with me so far, I really feel the sense of, like, you've not really fully planned anything, but you're just knowing, and you've had that, like, support around you to know that you can do it. How has that support, like, especially from your dad, how has that really benefited you?
Oh, it's been so huge. From a young age, I always knew I wanted to represent New Zealand, but like you kind of touched at the start, I did get to explore a few different sports, and to me, it was going to be football. And so I always knew that I wanted to be a professional one day, but for it to come so soon and in a sport I never imagined. Actually, it was crazy, and I was a bit nervous telling my dad that I wanted to play rugby instead of football, because we had invested so much time and money and energy into that. So, but I'll never forget the day I actually told him, and he just said, "Bub, whatever makes you happy, I'm backing you all the way." And to have that kind of support is so important, because I've never felt alone on this journey. Like, I've always felt like I've had people in my corner, and it's always been the right people, the people that wanna see me succeed and want me to be great. So it's always been quite easy for me to be able to express myself and just follow my gut and do what my heart wants to do. Yeah,
wow. Yeah. That makes me so happy for you. I love that, because awesome. I know there are a lot of people, and probably people like young kids who are listening to this, who feel like they don't have the support around them, and to have someone like yourself who's, like, already, like, you're still so young and you've had so much support, and you've, like, it just shows how important really, like, support is, and, like, being able to, like, lean on your support as well, like, you knowing that you have that support there that you can lean on has probably benefited you so much as well.
And I think because I I always believed in myself, and that was probably like something that I guess it does get tested along the way.
100%.
But having those people in your corner, you just never feel alone, and your belief within yourself, seeing others believe in you, it just goes through the roof. And it just makes you feel like literally anything is possible. Like just take every opportunity.
Yeah, I think when I was in my like kind of athlete career, one thing that was always said to me, even like from such a young age, is like, if you don't believe in yourself, then no one will.
Yeah.
And I think it's like so true.
Yeah.
And I think like you're like a very good example of that. You made your Black Ferns debut against England in 2021. Can you walk us through those initial emotions of being named in the team and then being out there warming up and then running out the tunnels onto the field? Like, what was those kind of first debut moments like?
Honestly, like looking back at it now, it's crazy. I remember the week of the test, I actually got told you're either going to be starting or you're not going to be playing at all based on another player's injury. So I was kind of a bit...
Oh dear.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting to play at all. Like that tour, like I was so new, and so I guess when it came to that Thursday training and I got told I was going to be starting, I kind of couldn't believe it. Like, I was on a tour with the likes of Renee Portia Woodman, just some of the like absolute greats of the game, and to think I was going to be in between Renee Whitcliffe and Portia Woodman, I kind of was freaking out. Like, I was like, I just watched you on TV, like,
those kind of moments.
It was a starstruck moment, along with, this is it. This is it's going to be my chance. And warming up, it was a bit of a crazy feeling. Like, I've never played or been in front of a crowd so big. I think it was about 10,500, maybe 1,000. Yeah. And that was a lot. Like, that filled the stadium that we were playing at. So, those feelings, I was definitely very nervous, but I definitely felt like I always believe in, like, everything happens for a reason. Yeah. So I was meant to be in that moment and playing that game and debuting over there. Like, I was obviously pretty gutted because obviously Dad's my biggest fan, and he would have loved to have been there for that moment. But during COVID, a lot was going on. But it was definitely an experience that I'll never forget. And I'm just very grateful to have experienced, I guess, a game like that. It was tough. That tour was very tough. I didn't get to play after that first game. So just looking back at all of it now has just helped develop my game and mental side and everything to where it is now. Yeah, for sure. And standing out there and like facing the crowd, like hearing that national anthem for the first time, what were you feeling in those moments? I'm quite an emotional person sometimes. I was definitely crying.
No, I would have been too. I've been like...
because I just knew, like, all the hard work, all the late nights, all the driving my dad done, all the money that we sacrificed, all the noodles for dinner, like it was all worth it in that moment. Like, and I just, like we touched on before, it felt I was doing it for my family, but doing it for my community too. So honestly, that feeling I'll never forget, and it's a feeling I take onto the field every time. Like, I feel like debuting and hearing the anthem was one thing, but I think now going out every time, it's that feeling's still there. Like, it's you never take it for granted. It could be the first or last time.
For sure.
And every time you get to hear it, it's an incredible feeling.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one thing that I always find funny, because I know from my athlete background, when people say enjoy the process and you're like out there competing, I'm like, I don't think I ever enjoyed the process once. I don't think you're like in that moment and you're like, I'm enjoying this so much. Did you enjoy the process, or were you able to like reflect after and be like, wow, I just did that?
I think it was definitely a wow, I just did that moment, because that game was tough. I don't think I've ever ran so much in my life. I don't think I've ever like defended so much in my life. Like, it was a test match I'll never forget, and I hope we never feel that again. But it was definitely a big reflection on I just remember after that game I was like, wow, that is what test rugby feels like. I know where I need to be. I know where I need to get myself. yeah, like it was just like a eye-opener and I just wanted more.
Yeah. Well, speaking of you know where you need to be, the following year you were named in the World Cup squad. Crazy. What were you thinking when you were named in that? Were you just like, what is happening? And then also, you're playing in front of a home crowd. Your dad was there up in the stand. Like, what was that like?
Oh, honestly, that whole year was a bit of a whirlwind. Like, I knew I had to do something different to really put my hand up. Because we've obviously got, you know, the likes of our sevens girls coming back in, and I knew the outside spots is usually where they slot in. So I knew I had to do something different that year. And I think the big point of difference from me was I actually moved down to the South Island for Super Rugby. That was the first year of Super Rugby Opiki. So moving down south, new environment, new coaches, learned a lot of things about myself on and off the field. And then being able to transition that into a couple of those Black Ferns test matches before the World Cup naming, I felt a lot of growth. So I was pretty excited and pretty confident that, you know, I have done everything that I could have done. I didn't leave anything out there to I guess not have put my hand up. So I guess when I got that call to say that I was in the Rugby World Cup squad that's going to be playing at home. Like I was crying. Called my dad straight away. He's always the first person to know. And we just had a moment together, and he was crying. And Dad doesn't cry very often, so to hear him on the other end, really emotional and just saying, "Bub, we did it." Like it hit different, and knowing it was going to be at home in front of our people was something else as well. And it was incredible. I'll never forget. That moment.
Yeah, for sure. Your rise through domestic level and onto the international stage was pretty rapid. I mean, like, I think most people look at your like journey and go, "How on earth has she done that?" How did you deal with the pressure of being catapulted onto not just like the domestic stage, but the international stage so quickly?
I think for me, it was. I think I forget how, I guess, young I am sometimes, because I have had to grow up quite fast. So pressure for me, I've never really experienced that too much growing up. My parents have always, you know, like I said, they've always just told me to follow my heart and do what makes me happy. And like, I've never had pressure on me to study. I've never had pressure on me to be this great person or so I've always just felt like I haven't really dealt with too much pressure in my life. So when it came to the rugby field, it kind of flowed on. So I didn't actually really feel much pressure, to be honest. I knew I was still learning. I knew I was still new to the game, but obviously the coaches saw something in me, and it was just that belief piece again, believing that I've been picked for a reason. For sure. So I need to, you know, bring those reasons to life. And it was pretty cool. Like even today, I still don't really feel too much pressure heading into test matches, because you feel ready going into them. You should have done, you know, you've gotten through your week, you've done your homework, you've put yourself in the best. Like as long as you do your prep right, there shouldn't be too much pressure.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. That's actually so, I love the way you look at that. You also represented New Zealand in 3 other codes, which is crazy. Can you talk us through your journey and those other sports just quickly?
I guess I started off with Taekwondo, fighting and doing martial arts from a young age, and I think that's actually what embedded in me was discipline. I think that's where all my discipline and always, it's always just been unconscious things that I do, and I think it always stems from learning martial arts at a young age. Me and my sister, we went on and we competed at the highest level, and then we ended up stopping and went on to football. Was always a dream of mine, played my whole life. Moved up to Auckland for a year for school in year 11 and to try and put my hand up for the New Zealand under-17s team, and was lucky enough to make that squad and play in our national league in that team, and ultimate frisbee that everyone loved.
Of all the things, I just love that.
I know, it was actually like a really awesome sport. I love it still to this day. Like, it was a really nice outlet in a way, because obviously at that time I was still playing a high level of football, And for me, it's a self-ref sport,
Yeah.
believe it or not. It's crazy. Like, I went to a World Cup for it. We played in Poland. Like, honestly, it's so crazy to think about now. Looking back, that it just showed me, like, you've got to be a great person to play, you know, to play sports. I think that was my real eye-opener to good people, good people, good sport, like self-refed game. You had to be honest, you know, respectful. I loved it, and I'm gutted. Yeah, I only got one real crack at it, but after that, I had to make a decision, and I had to pick a sport, and I went with rugby.
Yeah, oh my God. I could never play ultimate frisbee for the mere fact I'm so uncoordinated.
Oh, don't worry, I was only doing the running and catching. I was not throwing.
I think my dad has got annoyed at me so many times for not being able to throw a frisbee right or like catch it. I'm like, listen, I'm not a dog, okay? I don't know how to do this shit. But no, maybe you can teach me. So we've got taekwondo and ultimate frisbee. Okay, this is good. Okay. I feel like I could make my debut again or something. I want to talk about that World Cup final. I can only imagine the nerves. You say you don't really put yourself under too much pressure, but the nerves, I'm sure, were there. What were the emotions heading into that final? You've obviously got a very pivotal role in that sort of final as well, and I remember watching it, and I just remember thinking, oh my God, like there's one position I would never play in rugby, and that's the role of kicker. There's no way you could not pay me to play that role. So talk me through those emotions, and you know, it's a packed out Eden Park as well, like that's a massive crowd, probably the biggest you've ever played in front of. What was that like?
Honestly, crazy. Like looking back at it now, I can't believe like that happened. Like, especially heading into the tournament, I wasn't kicking many goals. Like for my provincial union, like super, even like goal kicking was something I've always had up my sleeve just because of coming from a football background. But I'd never really been exposed to it too much in games. But when Wayne Smith came into the Black Ferns, and I guess he kind of got everyone to kick, and then he kind of looked at me and he was like, oh, you've got a kick on you, eh? Like, and I was like, oh. And then I'll never forget when, heading into World Cup, he just beelined straight for me after a meeting one time, and I was like, oh my God, I got really nervous. And he came over and he goes, you can goal kick at this World Cup. And I was like, sorry? I was like, pardon? Because obviously I was blown away. Like, I know I've been able to kick goals, but I've never obviously, I guess, had a coach or anyone that's really truly believed in me. And for Wayne Smith to come in and just see a couple of trainings and be like, no, we'll get DC in, have a few sessions with him, and you're gonna, you'll be great. And I was just like, wow, okay, cool. Like, it was actually an absolute honour. Like, I guess it's a huge privilege being able to goal kick for the Black Ferns, and to do it in a Rugby World Cup at home, like. Those are the moments you dream of, and like 100%. Sometimes those dreams don't come true, but that one did for me. And it was incredible. I think we felt that like heading into that World Cup final, it almost felt like we'd played that final the week before against France. Like we'd never been in that position before. Obviously, the tension of losing by obviously them having a kick to win the game on the final whistle, like we've never really truly felt those moments, most of us girls in that team. So it really, the moment we beat France, we all looked at each other and said, we can do this, we can win this World Cup. Like obviously we thought that from the start, but we didn't know what we were going to be like against those Northern Hemisphere teams. We hadn't played them for a year, and the last time we played them, we got absolutely demolished. So we really didn't know where we sat with them. So I guess beating France in that semi-final just gave us so much confidence heading into that final. And like you said, talking about the pressure, it was really cool. We addressed it quite early in the campaign around pressure of a home World Cup, and we just took it upon as privilege pressure. Everyone's there to watch us. Our country's 100%. There to support us. At the end of the day, it felt like they were going to love us no matter what happened. And I think that's a feeling that I wish every sports team could feel when playing in front of their home country. Like I got to go into the Football Ferns camp heading into their World Cup at home campaign, and I was just trying to express to them about taking that pressure on as privilege pressure. Like we're probably not going to get another home World Cup ever again in our career. So really embracing
once in a lifetime.
Yeah, really embracing that moment and making sure that, you know, you don't want it to be negative pressure. It's all positive. Our country's there to support us and back us, and no matter what, they're going to have our back. And it genuinely felt like that.
I was just about to ask, what did you feel like from the home support, especially in that final with the packed out Eden Park?
Oh, it felt like the whole 5 million were in that stadium. It was incredible. It was a feeling like no other. And I'm gutted, like, you know, potentially probably won't feel that ever that type of sport again. Like, probably won't have another home World Cup in my career. So being able to actually acknowledge and I guess there were moments where, you know, we just stood there on the field and just looked around, and it was a sea of black and just the roaring coming out of the tunnel. Like, it was honestly what dreams are made of. And I love our country.
Wow, that's so cool. I love that. I want to talk about those last 5 minutes of that final.
Stress!
The whole game was like intense, but those last 5 minutes, especially with that last line out that England had right on your guys' own line, what was going on in everyone's head then, and what was going on in your head? Because I know for me, I was like, oh my God.
Well, like, to be honest, the game before, our subbing plan was, you know, I'd come off at around 60ish, Aisha Letinga would come on, Rubes would go to the back, P was still on, and then I guess in the first 10 minutes when Push Women got massively taken out, in that moment when Aisha Letinga came on with me, her and Rubes looked at each other and we were like, this is us, we're in it for the next 70 minutes, like we're about to play a full 80. And I didn't actually really expect to be, I guess, you know, mentally be on the field at that point, but that kind of taught me the lesson of expect anything. Like, you know, don't, with rugby, you just never know. So to be on the field at that moment, because I wasn't on the field when the French 10 was taking that last kick, and I felt like I just couldn't do anything, but you know, in those last 5 minutes, it was a line out. Still felt like I couldn't do much. Like, we were on the line, and I was like, oh my goodness. Like, and the crowd was incredible. They were going nuts. And then, honestly, just seeing the way Jonah got up, I didn't actually know what the heck was going on. I saw Ruby start running to me, like, she just beeline straight across the field. The ball was still in play. I was like, what are you doing? She was celebrating early, like, because she knew that it was a knock-on as well in the up there. It was wild. It was absolutely wild. And honestly, that feeling, where it was like our kind of is it mantra for the whole kind of tour. It was like never before, and that's exactly what that feeling was like. You know, like never before had we ever been full-time contracted athletes. Like never before had we been defeated by so much from these countries and had to, you know, make a comeback. There was a lot
stacked against you guys going into
never
that
before
World
have we had coaches had to leave. You know, 6-7 months out, new coaches in, new game plan, new everything. Like, it was like never before, and we knew
that last 5 minutes was like never before as well.
100%. And like looking, and all the comments from the public, like, gave everyone a heart attack in that semi-final, gave everyone a heart attack and grey hairs in that final. But it gave us grey hairs on the field too. So it wasn't just the public.
Everyone can have grey hairs together. Did you ever think when you were younger that you'd be playing in a World Cup at home at a packed out Eden Park, let alone as a Black Ferns player?
Not at all. Not at all. Even a year out when I was even, you know, just dabbling in the Black Ferns scene, not at all.
You said you wanted to target 2025.
100%.
Left wing comes out of nowhere and you're like, oh, okay, I'm playing now.
Like,
this is happening now.
That's quite cool. Like, actually speaking to my dad and like sitting down, actually reflecting on it. I remember sitting down with him and we were like, cool. He's like, cool, bub, we'll aim for that 2025 World Cup. Even back then he was like, yep, you're going to be goal kicking at a World Cup. So like, it happened really, really fast. And
Dad was onto it.
He was very onto it. He's always believed in me and seen so much greatness. So I guess it's been awesome having him in my corner and always pushing me along. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And then last one before we get into kind of the questions that I got from the community, if there was one thing you could tell little Renee now, knowing what you know now, what would it be? And to any other like young girls, boys that are wanting to make the All Blacks or the Black Ferns, what would you tell them?
I honestly think we've touched on it at the start. It'll be the belief piece.
Yeah.
Like there's so much, only so much other people can, I guess, make you feel or
say to you.
To you, but
instill in you even.
It really, it really comes down to how much you really truly believe in yourself, and to me that would be the biggest thing to any young kid who's got dreams or aspirations, or no matter where you're from, no matter how far, how hard the journey, it's not easy. For some it may be an easier journey, but for others it is hard work, and you've got to just always make sure you believe in yourself and have that piece there to be able to push through those hard times, because there might not be anybody watching.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Love that. Now, I did put a story up on my Instagram asking people to send in their questions for you, and they were very excited that you were my next guest. So I just picked out a couple, because there were quite a few, and I was like, hey, I'm not going to stand there for like 1 hour. The first question is, how do you get over your nerves?
I usually talk to my nieces and nephews.
Oh, I love that.
I like
kids are so wholesome.
Yeah, I love to call them before the games, like in the morning of usually, and I just call them. They just make my day so much better. And then even after the game, I love calling them, because even if I've had a shocker of a game, they just, looking at them just gives me so much. Like everything's gonna be okay. It's definitely the kids for me. Sure.
Did you always want to be a Black Fern growing up? I already know the answer to this, but
I definitely want to be a football fern. I 100% want to be a football fern. Had them all over my wall, posters up everywhere, and then the second I came across rugby, met some Black Ferns, knew that's what I wanted to do.
100%.
I wanted to be one.
Who is your favourite player to play with?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay. That's such a hard question, because I love playing with everyone. But 100% can't, like, my little bomb squad at the back. We got, obviously, usually it's Aisha Letinga and Ruby Tui, but at the moment Mirirangi Paul and Caitlin. Like, I'm real, like, it's always my outside backs, because we're always connecting the most. We're always having, I just really, really enjoy playing with my back three. Oh,
I love that. Well, that kind of wraps it all up for today. Cool. Thank you so much for joining me, and I know that my listeners will get so much out of this. Good luck for the weekend, and that's about it. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome.